Hello, I'm Mark Scanlon. I'm going to discuss installation and maintenance of the 425 rocker clamp. This is an example of a 425 rocker clamp with a handle. The first thing to notice is these clamps are set at the factory to a specific clamp height. So if you have, for example, a 1.5 inch clamping plate or a 2 inch clamping plate, we would add shims to the bottom or nose pieces to the face of the clamp to set that height and ensure that it's ready to be installed. At that point, there's a slight gap between the plate and the nose so that when it's slid into position on the clamping plate, there's just that small gap. And of course, when we actually hit the clamp, it's going to then properly clamp. So you do not want to use this rocker clamp for a wide variety of clamping plates. Although it does have the ability to clamp over a range, okay, it is really set for a fixed clamp height plate for that application. So if you have a lot of different plates, you want to make the plates adjusted, maybe machine off sections of them to make places where this clamp can always be clamping the same clamp height. So during installation of this clamp, we want to make sure again that the T-nut is the proper fit for the slot. We don't want to use a T-nut that is too small for the slot and doesn't give proper support. We want to make sure that when we install this, in this place, this T-nut's going to go in the slot like this here, okay, and this clamp is going to fit over the top, and the nut goes down inside of it, just like that, and it's tightened in there. Now, what we have to be very careful is when we tighten this nut, that there's not too much gap here in the clamp to the bolster plate. So what we'll do is we'll use maybe this size nut and tighten it down, and that should just be very minimal movement, and the nut should be fully engaged. So we can tighten this down in here, pull it out, and just assume it's all the way down there, and check to see how much engagement we have. We should have full engagement. Here we don't, so that would be inconsistent with a good safe practice. So we say, oh, we need a longer bolt. We take the bolt off, we use the next longer bolt. And we attach the T-nut. Now we see it bottoming out there. Install our system. And here we have still quite a bit of gapping. What we can do is either shorten this nut by removing some of the nut length, okay, or we can add washers inside here to make that bolt a little bit shorter. And what we are shooting for is when we tighten this down tightly after doing all that adjustment with washers, we want it so that this clamp basically slides in and out to be removed and slid, but basically it has minimal gapping according with the drawings. And in the user guide procedures, we have in the back drawings that explain various clamping heights and requirements, safe clamping practices, and gaps. Okay, basically not snug, but just slightly loose, and that shouldn't be a problem. Then that nut needs to be Loctited and possibly pinned or peened, depending on your desires, to make sure that it doesn't come loose during operation. Okay, so now that we have the clamp properly shimmed with washers and the T-nut properly attached and secured and ensure that it's Loctited in place so it won't come loose, now it's very simple. All we're going to do is slide the clamp into place. If we have something to clamp it on here, okay, we should see between here and here a very small gap. Right now the clamp has a nose piece removed, so if you see a large gap, you want to make sure that, oh, hey, did somebody take the nose piece off, or maybe remove a spacer plate. So the clamp, again, is purchased for certain clamp heights, should have the spacer plate and the nose piece included. If the nose piece is missing, you have to go find it. Some clamps are used without the nose piece. Many customers in the past have done that without the nose piece. Clamps all are sold with nose pieces as a possible wear part. So if you see that nose piece damaged, you can then simply remove those two bolts, take the nose piece off, put a new one on. The clamp should be able to move freely when you clamp it hydraulically. There's no reason it shouldn't do that. Again, this is set and it's just held in spring return, clamp forward. Please inspect the clamp basically for nose damage, as we talked about, either replacing that nose spacer, anything that would maybe prevent something from hitting here, but they can be dinged up and have some damage, just cosmetic, and they should run just fine. Just inspect the bolts, I guess, visually to make sure it just looks like a nice solid clamp. If there's any questions anytime it's leaking, if there's any questions or problems, we recommend send the clamp back with the clamp height that you'd like to have it set to, and we will inspect it for having all the proper spacers and nose pieces and quote any parts that are missing, and then set it for the proper clamp height for the application.